Hey, GW coming to you live here once again. Hey, a couple of announcements real quick. If you're interested and you love the 80s, you have to be on board on June 11th because the Ghostbusters Steelbook limited edition is coming out. I just saw it. It's on Amazon. And if you want to know why this thing is so special, it all goes back to a handful of deleted scenes that were rumored to be shot and never put into production, including one at Fort Detmering. Why is that significant? Well, if you remember the film, there's a scene where Ray gets seduced by a ghost. This is the whole segment behind that. So it's told in a flashback, so it makes sense in the film, but once you see the deleted scene, it is considered the holy grail of the Ghostbusters lore. Also, another handful of scenes with Bill Murray, as well as new restorations, and rumored the extended version with the previous deleted scenes that were cut out will be in you'll be able to select them in the theaters, in the DVD. With that in mind, we're going to move on, and I had somebody the other day ask me what horror films are shocking. So I'm going to name a few. We'll start by one of the granddaddies of shock, something that's video nasty all across the board, and it's made in Serbia, believe it or not, and it's called a Serbian film. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's the cover. Even looks rough. Now, I'm not going to go into who directed it because, as you can see, I cannot pronounce any of these guys' names. But what I will tell you, though, is this is a movie so effed up, you'll think you're on LSD when you watch it. Basically, the story revolves around a former porn star pulled into the business, and he's told he cannot ask what to do. Now, the whole movie's in subtitles, so that might turn you off right there. He is told he's not allowed to ask what's going on. He's just supposed to follow the director's commands. What makes this thing so shocking is that you'll have to look for it, because it's not in this copy, but there is a scene involving a baby doll that is very, very effed up. And upon its release, the filmmakers were arrested because they actually thought a baby was sodomized. Yeah, I know, that's a lovely image, isn't it? The director had to bring into court the baby doll and explain to them that it was a prop. Nevertheless, it gained infamous notoriety. And if you want to see it, this is the copy. You can get the original copy with the baby scene intact. You just have to shop around for it. It's done by Invincible Pictures. 2011. And it runs probably about an hour and 5 minutes. This says an hour and 3 minutes. But that's with the baby scene intact. Little effed up piece of movie history here, guys. They don't make them much rougher than this, I'll tell you that. Moving on. We're going to talk about Cannibal Holocaust. If you don't know about this film, this is another one that ended up in the courts. In fact, we're going to talk about another one that ended up in the courts. This is from Grindhouse Releasing. It's the 2-disc double edition. My buddy Matt Campbell, who is a horror fanatic, has schooled me on this, so I just want to give him a shout out, by the way. What makes this film so much more, almost on the same terms as a Serbian film, is that basically this was a quote-unquote found footage movie before found footage movies were popular. Before the Blair Witch, this thing paved the way. Now, if you read the top, it says, banned and heavily censored the world over. I'll give you guys a minute to read that. But while you're reading, I'll tell you about this thing. This thing was done, in a way that was really savage for filmmakers. They went over, and as the filming went along, they actually killed protected animals. In fact, the director, Ruggiero Diodato there, was arrested for animal cruelty, killing and murdering sea turtles, and they show that really graphically I grew up, my grandfather used to make turtle soup. I've seen this whole thing, so it wasn't as shocking to me. But what was shocking is the message this film delivers. If you haven't seen this thing, this is about a group of, what am I trying to look at? Not tourists, but documentary filmmakers. They go into the jungle, and of course it's the old rule where you don't disturb what you don't know. These guys rape and pillage and end up becoming the prey of cannibals. Their film was found, and it was shown, and the last scene in the movie, one of the actors says, "Who is the most savage, the cannibals or us?" So, again, you could look this thing up. It is very, very controversial, to say the very least. You can read about it. I don't think Rodrigo Deodato had another hit after this. This was pretty much the end-all, be-all of his career, I do believe. Now, I'm not sure. You guys can read up on it. But regardless, this is one tough movie to take. But the message in it is clear, and it will stick with you. Moving on. Here's a movie called American Guinea Pig, Bouquet of Blood, Guts, and Gore. This is not the original American Guinea Pig. I just wanted to show you guys and illustrate the point. American guinea pigs were put out by Japanese people. Basically, there's no story to this. There's usually just a dismembering of women, and it's pretty graphic to the point where people who saw them thought they were actually watching snuff films. Now, I do not have the originals. Again, I do apologize, but this film was redone, and I'm not even going to show you the back cover because it's pretty damn graphic. Basically, all you need to know is this is a movie where they chop up women. There's no story, and they put all the production value on just dismember, murder, blood squirting, whatever. And this thing is effed up. I've only watched this one time, and I've had it since like 2 or 3 years ago. 2013, maybe. 2015. I'm sorry. It was put out, and it was actually distributed in 2015. So yeah, I've only watched this thing once. That's how effed up it is. You can get this one. They did make a sequel to it. If you can stand the first one, go for it. I don't know, guys. This one is up on the list for different reasons. Now another film that has landed people in hot water, and I'm talking about Fred Vogel's August Underground. Now, this is probably the sickest film ever made, next to Part 2 and Part 3. They went all the way with this. Basically, these are another set of found footage films that were seized at, I think Canada seized them because they thought, again, it was actually videotapes of killing. Now, my man Ryan Nicholson actually worked on this film. His dummies are in there. So, right there tells you it's a work of film. Now, Toe Tag, believe it or not, is actually based out of Pittsburgh. You can Google them up. This was what put them on the map. This is basically two serial killers, a man and woman, who basically go around and kill people with hammers, and basically you see the aftermath, and it is pretty sick. But Part 1 leaves you an open-ended, and yes, Fred Vogel come back because fans love the underground work. We made August Underground Mortem. This film is a gross out contest, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even going to show you that. It keeps pushing the envelope to see how much you can take. And at the end of the movie, if you're not grossed out, hey, what can I say? The last one is August Underground Penance. This brings an end to the August Underground trilogy, where you get to see the urban killers. And these are all found footage films, by the way. They're all done where you're just like watching an old grainy VCR film, snuff film. Fred Vogel took this to another level. And this is the only back cover I can show you because the other ones would probably make people sick. It's a memorable trilogy for the fact that it's a local filmmaker who did it. And I don't condone or I don't agree with anything in these movies because I didn't make them. But Fred Vogel did have a vision. In fact, I have an autographed copy of the trilogy downstairs and a letter from his wife. And the first one, we could have done without the two sequels, but you see how they put them in there. And basically, those are a couple of the sickest movies I have ever seen. You ask my wife, she'll tell you The Human Centipede. I mean, do I really need to go any more into that? So I just wanted to, give you guys some of the most controversial horror films around. I'm sure there's more, and I'll probably dig up more at one time. But these pretty much top it. So Connor, if you're watching or you happen to stumble onto this, I hope you take a note. The Serbian film, it is hard to find the ultra cut. In fact, you have to really look for it. The American Guinea Pig, like I said, I've watched it once, and believe it or not, I don't think I'm going to watch it again. Cannibal Holocaust was released in the 70s, and it actually was shock cinema for that time, so it does have a place in history. And a Serbian film, that was probably one of the ones that was so effed up. I mean, you really have to watch it. You don't know what the hell's going on in there. But again, aside from all that, you guys need to check out the Ghostbusters Special Edition. It's a little bit more tamer than these, I promise you. And, they did pack a lot of stuff in there for one hearing, and it's limited edition. So get on Amazon and pre-order yours right now. And it's GW, and as always, we're going to do the proverbial fade to black.